Yo, what's up, people? YouTube. This is kind of an exclusive YouTube video, which I haven't made anything for YouTube in a really long time. I apologize. I think my subscribers, all 9 of you, 14 of you, I'm not sure how many are there, but I thank you and I appreciate every single one of you. I promise I do have something in the works that I'm brainstorming that I want to do on YouTube. Um, if you guys don't know, I've been streaming a lot more lately. I did take a little bit of a break when I went on vacation the past week, but I'm back and I plan on streaming almost just about every day for a couple hours at night. So if you're a late watcher or someone who just wants to talk to somebody at night while you play video games or do whatever you're doing, feel free to tune into twitch.tv/last_checkpoint. The link will be in the description below, I guess. So yeah, this is hard. So I live stream and usually I don't get nervous live streaming. Recording a video is a little bit different. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to talk to you guys about the podcast that Ben and I created, Final Checkpoint. We started it in September of 2019, and the last episode we made was September of 2021. So basically 2 years running. I think the podcast overall was good. I think it could have been better. I think we started off really strong with an episode focused on Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is still to me my favorite episode that we've ever done. We recently, or I guess not recently, but in September, we also recorded one for the game 12 Minutes, which was very like reminiscent of the first episode we ever created. And then not to mention our spoiler discussion of The Last of Us Part 2. I think those are by far my favorite episodes, which I think almost in a way kind of like encapsulates, I think I'm saying that right, the reason why I think I loved podcasting compared to what happened with my passion for podcasting. I think we started the podcast with this original idea of like, not original, but like for us, an original idea of a focused episode about maybe a game that we played or a news, item or something, because the episodes didn't have to be super long. They could have been short. It could have been just like, hey, let's just talk about this. And then maybe we can talk about games that we're playing, and then it evolved from there. Like, let's talk about these news items and then games that we're playing. And then let's talk about let's talk about everything. Let's go over deep into the games that we're playing. And then, I don't know. It kind of blew up from there. And that's not really why we stopped podcasting. I would say that that 2021 was a really weird year for me. Working remotely was great. And I'm still working remotely. Not that that's changed, but I think overall, a lot of what really changed my passion for podcasting and for the games media and journalists in general is this kind of just like overall the feeling that I get from games media, right? Like you talk about like websites like Kotaku, especially Kotaku, I think is the biggest kind of perpetrator of this, but also sites like IGN and like GameSpot are always like talking about how bad crunch is, right? And yet they're crunching 100-hour games in like 3 or 4 nights. And that part was kind of, and we've talked about it on the podcast, that's kind of like annoying, right? And then there's a whole lot just of like, it's like the race, it's like games journos right now, and not just journos, but like media people, right? Or the games media influencers are like racing to be the most sassy in a way. Like, how can I make a joke of this game or make a pun of it, or make it, a great tweet or something like that. And it seemed like everybody was trying to do that. And I've done it before. Ben's done it before. We've done it on the podcast before, and I get it. Like, that's just how we are, I guess, as gamers. I don't know if like our cynicism is just that bad. I'm going to be using words. I don't know if I'm using them right. So feel free to correct me in the comments below or just don't. Um, but I feel like a lot of people that I used to watch for video game news and video game opinions and, stuff in general, I just like started not liking what they were saying or how they were saying it or, why they were saying it like that. A lot of my passion for video games really kind of, or at least the industry, is just gone. There's really only one video game podcast I listen to, and that's just Sacred Symbols. Colin Moriarty, Chris Ray Gun, Dustin Furman. They have a great podcast. 3 very different minds that give like their honest feedback on games. Yes, they have jokes. Yes, they every now and then make a pun. They have running inside jokes if you listen to the podcast long enough. But overall, I think you get a really good mix of, Colin, who's the same Colin we've always listened to since Beyond. I don't know why people all of a sudden have had this like crazy turn on him. But Colin's very like PlayStation focused, right? He is one of the hardest critics of PlayStation, but he has great knowledge of the industry and of, old school games that I love and PlayStation in general, which I love. I love PlayStation. Chris Ray Gun, someone who, big Xbox player, plays on PlayStation, plays on PC, streams, someone who has just a great overall like sense of everything. But also, is a big YouTuber and knows the YouTube community. So like he's got just so much range there. And Dustin is someone who is kind of like me, right? Who's been a fan of these podcasters and the industry and, a lot of the same games. So I get a lot of great impressions and content from Sacred Symbols. So big up to Sacred Symbols. You don't have to like them. You don't have to listen to them. That's not the whole reason why I'm making this video. I think it's just showing that they like the way they do it is great. Everyone else I feel has fallen off hard as far as like what brought me to them in the first place. Even Giant Bomb, like Giant Bomb changed a whole lot this last year. And I get why they change. I mean, people left the company. It's crazy. Like a lot of people left. A lot of original founders of Giant Bomb left to go do other stuff, and maybe they felt the same thing. Maybe they were tired of the games industry. But yeah, that's a lot of why I stopped podcasting a little bit. I took a long break in the summer. My dad passed away in July from cancer, and so I was just out. I was like, for almost 2 months, I was back and forth to California. I stayed in California for about a month. I live in a different state. I'm not gonna really give my details there. But yeah, and I think I was definitely in a weird spot coming home and really just not feeling like wanting to do anything. Even the episodes we did in September, it was work, man. I forced my way through those episodes. And it's not even that that really changed my feeling about wanting to podcast. It's in general the overall work that had to go into making the podcast and not really seeing any growth. That also really hurt, is not seeing growth in the podcast. The podcast could have been better. The structure of it could have been better. The promotion of it definitely could have been better. A lot of the time I felt like I was really the only one sharing, or promoting the podcast, and it's hard to really figure out a way to spread it. So a lot of my passion just kind of went away for it. I still love video games. I play them all the time, every day. I stream. I love streaming. Streaming is something I don't mind doing because the production work is kind of gone once you're done streaming, unless you're going to take clips, unless you're going to take, VODs and edit them down and put them on YouTube. But I just like turning on my stream, playing a video game. Even if I'm just talking to myself, it lets me get some of the creative juices out of my head. And then it's kind of done. So I do plan to stream more. I do enjoy streaming. Podcasting, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Ben is definitely more than welcome to take Final Checkpoint and continue using the brand and, doing a podcast or finding someone else to do the podcast with. I'm totally okay with that. I have no real ownership other than the last part being Checkpoint, which is just a word. It's not really mine. I don't really mind him using the name or anything like that. I just don't really see myself doing it anytime soon. And, I know we had some pretty loyal listeners. We had we had an audience that was slowly starting to grow again. But I just felt like I couldn't give you guys something good. And I didn't want to do it anymore if I wasn't going to be into it, if I wasn't going to have fun doing it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Um, I do plan on making some YouTube content, not heavily produced, definitely not, not really scripted. I hope to just kind of get my thoughts the way I'm doing now, maybe get my thoughts in a video about a game or about other stuff. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I figured I'd just post this video to let you guys know that, where I'm at with the podcast and, what the future kind of holds. And right now it's just kind of up in the air. So yeah, but again, I'll be streaming on Twitch, so you can find me there. Link will be in the description. Ben currently isn't streaming. He's not really making YouTube content. I really hope that changes. I really enjoy his content and the stuff that he says about games. Like, he has such a different, most of the time he has a different opinion about a game than the majority. And then when he does find something that he's passionate about, it's great to listen to it. That's why I wanted to make a podcast with Ben. And then Logan had really kind of just joined us. And Logan is someone who I play games with all the time. We play a lot of Apex together and we have a good time. But yeah, so, I'm sorry to those guys that I didn't want to do the podcast anymore. That's, I feel bad doing that, but if it was going to be more work than fun, it's not worth it, especially if we're not seeing a whole lot of growth. So, yeah, I will let you guys go. It's kind of a long ass video of me just ranting and whining, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you understand that, I did love doing the podcast. I hold it so dear to my heart. There's still a lot of good episodes you can go back and listen to that aren't really time sensitive. As far as like news that we talk about, whatever, like there's still a lot of great stuff in those podcasts. I think my favorite thing about the beginning to the end of the podcast is the overall like logging of the pandemic starting and then to the point where we got to September and it was a little different. A lot of good stuff in there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys around. Come visit me on Twitch. And I would stick around YouTube. I do plan on doing some stuff for YouTube. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Good one. Play some games. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Don't do drugs. Or maybe do. I don't know. Whatever you want.